President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in a celebratory mood with members of the APC. Let's, quickly share with you. Apparently, seems that was the only room where there was dancing and celebration across Nigeria yesterday, except, I didn't get to see anyone. But let's bring in Catch Ononuju. He's a political analyst. Good morning, Mr. Ononuju. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning very much. It's a very fun Nigerian morning today.
Interesting times, I must say. But of course, I'm celebrating with the president-elect, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as he's been declared winner. And we, of course, hope that he's able to lead Nigeria in the right direction if the Supreme Court, of course, doesn't change what it currently stands as. But let's quickly get your thoughts on what played out yesterday. The Supreme Court, the tribunal, basically gave rulings on all the cases that were brought before it. From 25% in Abuja to, of course, a double nomination by the Vice President Kashim Shettima to, of course, I don't remember now, the convictions in the United States, yes, $460,000, and a couple of other things. And of course, INEC's ability to upload results on its server during the elections.
Or rather,
many
INEC's
things.
discretion.
Or discretion, with uploading results on the server. Many things that were brought before it, but all of them were dismissed. Did you expect anything different?
I would not say I expected a thing different. I was trying to gauge how very damaged and compromised the judiciary was under President Buhari's cascade of destructions. So we didn't really know how bad the judiciary had gotten until when those pronouncements came yesterday, like saying the issue of forfeiture is an offense against the money. It is not an offense to be calculated on who committed the act. No, it is an offense on the money. You hear different kinds of things. Even the 25% for which President Tinubu said, I agree. I failed the law on 25%. But don't disqualify me because of that contribution on the law. The judge, and this has been ruled on before by the Supreme Court. The judge says it doesn't matter. So what we have seen yesterday was like a new constitution, because what the judge was reading was not from the Nigerian constitution. And so what I will say is it is wrong for us to think that we will get a judiciary different from the society deserves. We may deserve a better judiciary, but this is a wounded country. We have seen the destruction of our financial assets. We have seen the destruction of our social fabric as a society. But we didn't know how bad the judiciary was damaged during the Buhari days. We now saw how bad the judiciary had become. Don't forget, this is the same judiciary that said that Ahmed Lawal, who never participated in a primary, was a candidate for election for Senate from his area. So I was thinking that due to the wave of changes and the African Spring, which I believe was currently in our sub-region, that the judiciary would do something to try to redeem the country. But no, what you saw yesterday was still an honest representation of how bad things got on President Buhari's cascade of rules to actually suppress the country's institutions. I do not think Nigeria should despair. No, I don't think we should despair. We should simply understand that 8 years of Buhari's administration did a lot of damage to institutions of our country, and we have seen yesterday the judiciary is one of it. Can we repair? Of course we can repair things. Nobody should give up hope. I don't see anything wrong about it. I was only worried. I told some people last night, why do you expect to get something that you do not deserve? Every society gets the kind of judiciary that it deserves. And because we allowed things to get this bad, that was why when we saw the gaslighting last week from Mrs. Mary Odelay, from the NBA chairman, and of course from the DSS, we knew instantly they were going to make pronouncements that would be like shoveling logs of wood down our throat. And that's what happened yesterday. But I will tell anybody, do not despair. Let us approach the Supreme Court and say, look at the things that we had from these judges. These things are not in our laws. What about the laws in our books, in our constitution? What we think we had from them had nothing to do with what's in our constitution. Okay. Not even with the decided cases in regards to cases like 25%, which have been previously decided. So they have done it, and this is what we must understand. This is the consequences of the weight of pressure that politicians have brought upon the judiciary. So I believe these things can be fixed. It's a society. I want to tell Nigerians, do not despair. What you saw yesterday was the extent of damage that the Buhari administration has impacted upon the judiciary. I believe we can move forward and find a way to do it. And this is the problem. Politicians can exert incredible pressure on the judiciary. And this is why Tinubu said, inaugurate me, I will take care of things. And that's why when you complain, they say, go to court. So you can see the issue about go to court. They know how to fix the court.
Okay.
I don't think what we saw yesterday was anything like proper judicial judgment in a democracy that's up to 20 years old. I refuse to accept that. I believe they are wrong, and I think they can be fixed.
As quickly as possible, you've made mention of the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had asked them to go to court, and you do not quite agree with the judgment that was given yesterday. The Labour Party has rejected the decision of the court. Do you think, or do you have confidence that the Supreme Court, if this is taken further, gets to the Supreme Court, that it will be any different from this?
Well, it all goes to show you, we all complained. You can see when the U.S. State Department put the visa ban on the Supreme Court justices. It was because of this kind of rot in the judiciary. So I don't actually expect the judiciary to start to heal very, very quickly. Yes, I believe for the sake of the country that the Supreme Court could make amends, because what we had yesterday were very, very far from real judicial pronouncements that had to do with anybody looking to our laws in our books. I am very hopeful. I'm an optimistic Nigerian, of course, but I am also mindful that this is the same Supreme Court where the U.S. State Department put sanctions of visa upon. So I can readily tell you that the judiciary is on trial. The judiciary in Nigeria is severely damaged, and you could see that yesterday. But then, as I always tell people, we can always work to fix our country. Don't pretend things are okay. It's not okay. The politicians pocketed the judiciary. That's why when they commit crimes and you question them, they say go to court.
I want to, ask, because in each of these cases, it might seem shocking, the rulings that were given, but, like our previous guest mentioned, the tribunal did have reasons for stating these things. And what would you say to the argument that the petitioners didn't really present cases beyond reasonable doubt and didn't go, above and beyond to provide evidence to the tribunal that would make their cases stick? Is that what, likely played out here? Or are we seeing a situation where the tribunal intentionally was looking out for loopholes to, of course, give out technicalities to strike out these cases?
I think that's what basically happened. The tribunal was looking for loopholes. Even where they didn't find loopholes, they created one. I saw yesterday judgment, but there was no justice in it. I speak holistically. It simply goes to show how very challenged the judiciary has become. When you saw that the U.S. government put visa ban on the Nigerian judges, it has a consequence of rulings like this. And that's what I now put to a consequence of the pressure brought upon the judiciary by the political class. And you cannot take this away. It's not proper that judges decide elections. It is proper that elections are run properly. And whatever it is, INEC has its own challenges. What you're just saying is, yes, you can rig elections, you can break the rules, but as far as you have pressure to put on judges will just vomit words from their mouths and believe their pronouncements will simply settle everything. No, it undermines society, it undermines the democracy, and it gives credence to those who think that society should find alternative ways of getting rid of those politicians who refuse to go. This is the real cause of coups across the Sahel. This is what it is, whether you like it or not. For us to actually make sure we keep away the soldiers, we must do the right things. This is pure protocol of state capture, and that's what I believe. And I think it is not good for our democracy. It is not good for the sub-region. It is not good for the country. What happened yesterday was a travesty. It is not justice. It was simply judgment read by judges I believe are challenged. I don't see anything good in this. I think everybody listening to this understands that Nigeria is truly as challenged as the U.S. State Department told us with their visa ban on our judges. So I think anybody who cares for Nigeria's democracy survival should start holding meetings for what we should do to help to kill the bench. Right now, the judiciary is on trial.
Well, we will see how things play out in the next couple of days. The Labour Party, of course, is yet. I'm not sure if they've decided on whether to approach the Supreme Court or not, along with the PDP also. But of course, we will follow up and see where this leads. Catch on Onuju. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Let's continue with the celebrations across the country as the tribunal has given its ruling. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right.